Okay. I've become a little bit worried about the fact that I've got possible brain damage because of all the abuse that I've done to my brain, um, intentional and intentional. Um, because basically, it could be brain damage from all of the abuse that I've done to my brain, or it could be, what I'm saying is that I'm not as eloquent as I used to be. I forget words a lot. I um I seem to speak slower. Um, I say a lot more, and if I look at myself when I was like 20 something in old videos from way back, which I'm considering maybe re-releasing, like one a week of my really old videos back from when I was 15 or 16, which I think are still quite good. I was a lot more passionate then about my hatred towards religion, and I used to research and just, yeah, I mean, nothing has changed. Religion is still the same. It still uses the same arguments, and it's still refuted in the same ways because they never acknowledge when they've been defeated, or how retarded they sound. Anyway, that's not what this one's about. A possible... Okay, so there's one possibility of having caused myself brain damage, and that's the amount of abuse from all the drinking. And also the fact that, the drinking leads to the fact that I have constantly, way more than is healthy, put my brain into a state of intense dehydration, to the same point of what you'd expect from people that are dying in the desert from thirst. I end up just constantly drinking bottle of wine after bottle of wine, and I never drink any water, and I keep doing that for an entire week. And then surprise, surprise, I'm as dehydrated as someone who's been, stuck in the desert for days. After a week, I've probably consumed a tiny amount of water from the wine, but other than that, I'm basically parched. And often after a period of drinking, there's a period of me not being able to feel anything but parched, no matter how much water I drink, for several days straight. And then, in addition to that, often at the end of a drinking session, it will be followed by a period of a sense of doom, which leads to severe insomnia, where I can often go, it's probably a short period of insomnia will be about 40 hours. It will be debilitating enough to really screw up with the rest of my week or whatever. Sometimes I've even had to go to work in my old mystery shopping job, and I would literally be so tired, because back then I couldn't just go to work whenever I want. I'd have to schedule it like a week in advance. So if I decide to drink and I'm not recovered by the time it's time to do the job, my brain is not working at all. Basically what happened was I needed to take a train to a shopping centre to do a mystery shop job, and it's so hard to focus on anything or to remember any numbers. Like, I would look at the bus timetables or train timetables, and I'd just keep going, okay, 9:30 and looking at the time, every minute would feel like 10 minutes. Um, and I would just keep forgetting numbers. I'm like, okay, the bus that I need to take is the 9:30, 9:30, 9:30. And it's like, then I'm looking at other things. I'm looking over the details of what I need to say in my job, what I have to say to the salesperson I'm supposed to be evaluating, and it's really, obviously I should have just called in sick, but I don't know. I didn't want to, I needed the money. I couldn't just, I was desperate for the money. I guess that's a time when it is me that does the unethical thing. Yeah, and it just got extremely complicated to try to get to that job. And then when I was actually talking to the salesperson, I pretty much could tell that I sounded like I was a special person. Well, I am a special person. I do have anxiety and depression, and yes, even autism. I'm on the Asperger's spectrum, whatever. But at that point, I had lost eloquency completely, and I must have seemed like a complete dumbass, which I guess helped with the cover to appear like an ordinary dumbass customer to be a dumbass. So I guess it at least worked for the cover of being an ordinary person that just walked in and had no intention to be reviewing my service. And then there was another time, this was a long time ago, back shortly after I'd first become a brony, because this happened at the first meetup I ever had with real people in that fandom. Man, it still sucks so much that I can probably never do that again because of the damage I've done to my reputation and lost all those friends. But anyway, I almost did that very thing and alienated myself after my very first time going to a brony meet, because I was in that exact state. I had been drinking for a week straight. I had only stopped drinking for about, I think it was, I'd had stopped for about 12 hours before the meet, and I hadn't slept for, 40 or so hours. And just getting to the location where the meetup was, I accidentally took the wrong bus 3 times and ended up almost 5 kilometers, or maybe 3 kilometers in the wrong direction at the wrong place, and then had to go back to the right place. So I arrived late, and when I was there, I just had so much trouble talking. I had literally forgotten how to use the English language. It was extremely embarrassing because I met the first brony friend I had ever met online that lived in this city. And I was looking forward to, getting to know him because I'd been talking to him online and getting to know him. But when I actually got there, I was basically just saying yes or no, or just saying really basic things, not being able to contribute any complex thoughts to any conversations because I was out of my mind, dehydrated to an extreme. And I would just be standing there listening to other people's conversations because it's all I could really process. And my mouth just wasn't working, and words weren't coming out properly. And so I was just ended up just settling with listening to other people's conversations, and I would go and drink from the water fountain like every 5 minutes. I would just go there and just gulp and gulp and gulp because I was still obviously severely dehydrated. And that's the kind of damage that I've kept, that's the kind of torture that I've kept putting my brain through. And that was in 2011. So, and I've still had a regular drinking problem since then. My longest stretch without was 8 months, and that was because I was at rehab and then a halfway house. So that was the only time that I lasted a full 8 months. And then I lasted 5 months while I was living with my mum in the bush in tents. I was literally stuck there. My job was to take care of the camp, gather firewood, and just make sure that look after the dog mostly. And that's the other thing. If the reason for this, for me finding it harder to talk lately is because of the isolation, because I don't really talk to myself, you know? I don't really talk to myself. I instead, I just internalize my thoughts. And I guess that's my self-speak, is just in my own head. I don't usually say it out loud. But when I did spend some time looking after my mum's dog, that's when I would usually have the opportunity to because I would talk to the dog, so that helped keep my speech in good practice. But other than that, all of the isolation that I've been through over, I have been social probably like 2% of my life. Rarely ever go out. Even when I did have friends, it was like a once a month thing, and it was challenging. I found that socializing was very draining, and I wouldn't want to do it for a while after. But there was a time, the entire time that I went back to Kalgoorlie after ending up homeless in Perth, and when my mum came and got me and brought me there, I had no friends there. Not a single friend. I was still just communicating with people online, and I was only doing it through the keyboard. So I was using my voice very little. I guess this video vlog thing is also a form of speech therapy too. I did notice that during some of my past videos, like the safety anxiety one, I felt like I was being a lot more, I was actually going through a bit of an adrenaline rush then, because even though I staged the start of the video, it wasn't far from what really happened. I pretty much literally got home. I got home, opened my computer, put it on record, took my bike back outside, and then brought it back in to stage that little intro. And so I was still going through the adrenaline that I was feeling from having just done a shift at work, and also having nearly been run over by incompetent drivers. So I guess that's it for this session of sitting down and talking to the camera. That's 3 more vlogs in the bag. and actually feel like going and playing some more of that demo game. And then I'll probably play some Path of Exile. I don't know why I'm bothering to tell you that. So, see ya.